I sometimes wait until I'm on the other side of things entirely to then talk about them on the podcast, because then I feel like I have all of the action steps and all of the ahas for you. But I sometimes feel like you need to hear when someone's in the messy middle. And you need to remember that not everyone has everything figured out and we're all going through our own process. And I am definitely been going through a process of late. So last time I spoke to you, we were in the UK, well, the last solo episode. I was in the UK, I was on a high. I had literally just launched my debut book, Magnetic, and I was just in this kind of bubble of holy heck, this thing that I have been working on for the last 2 years is finally out. And it was the most amazing feeling. And soon after that, I went to Amsterdam and I interviewed people for the Mindspo podcast there. We've still got episodes coming out from that. I went and did press for Magnetic because my book also got translated in Dutch, which is so exciting. We've had over 9 translation rights from countries all over the world. And I went and did all this press there for the Dutch edition, which was so cool. And then I went to Bali, which has been my island home for I think like the last 8 years. And we're going to get into my Bali trip because there's a lot to unpack there. I actually ended up staying in Bali longer than I was planning because I got what I'm going to call the plague. Fam, I got so sick. I actually never really tell people when I'm sick, and it doesn't happen very often, but I never really like to report on me being sick or post that I'm sick on social media. It's just something I like to speak health out into the world. I don't want to manifest more sickness, but oh my gosh, I need to tell you about what I got because I got what I'm calling the plague. I had a 40-degree temperature for 5 days. Yeah, I was literally hallucinating and it was absolute purge of I feel so many things that were going on with me spiritually, mentally, physically. Soul ended up getting it as well. So we delayed our flights to Australia and then we finally got to Australia and we have a beautiful place in Sydney right near Bondi Beach, 10 minutes from Bondi. I cannot even begin to tell you how perfect this place was in terms of manifestation. We were looking for months and months and months and we couldn't find anything. And then I looked on Airbnb one day and this place just literally materialized out of nowhere. The girl that was renting out her place was gone for the exact amount of time that we were looking for a place. So that worked out all perfectly. And right now, as I record this, I am actually in my friend's house and I'm house sitting. I've got a beautiful house that I'm house sitting, and this also feels like a complete crazy manifestation because I have been definitely in a rest period since I got to Australia. And I feel like everyone has been asking me, when are you doing a magnetic event here in Sydney? What's going on? Are you doing things here? And the clear kind of intuition download that I've been getting is just to rest. And that's what I've been doing. So I haven't really planned anything. And I feel like because I've actually been resting and I've been in this resting receivership, completely just allowing myself to exhale and kind of just take everything in that I've been processing and moving through, then the universe has literally been like, oh, you're resting. Now you can go and house sit your incredible friend's house that is literally on the water and you can be in this big, beautiful, abundant environment for a week. And I'm just going to give this to you because you're actually resting and enjoying yourself and you're so relaxed. I'm going to give you something that matches this energy of you relaxing, not only like the inner feeling of relaxing, but now I'm in this external, incredible house that feels so relaxing. It's been an interesting 2 months since I spoke to you. That's kind of like the life timeline catch up. But in this episode, I actually want to talk to you about some of the big lessons that I have learned. We're going to talk about how I was fooling myself that I was making a choice out of abundance when really I was making a choice out of complete scarcity. We're going to talk about finding balance in my relationship after putting myself first a little bit too long and neglecting my partner and how that blew up in my face and what I've learned from that. And we're going to talk about resting and how important it is to rest to receive, and how so many of us are constantly striving and working and pushing ourselves and never actually allowing ourselves to be in the wish fulfilled, to be in the thing that has manifested, because we're so busy focused on the next thing, which is powerful because it's great to keep creating and keep moving. But I feel like sometimes we miss the point of actually getting to where it is that we want to go. I have definitely learned a lot in the last 2 months. First things first, I want to talk about relationships because I feel like I never really talk about my relationship on here. And when I do, I always talk about it with my partner and the co-founder of Mindspo, Chris Soul. But I thought I would just open up about this because look, I don't know many people that have been in a 14-year relationship. That's how long I've been with my partner. And if I'm honest with you, I don't really listen to that many people's advice when it comes to relationships because most people I know have been dating someone for a few months or maybe 2 years. And to me, that's still just like early stages honeymoon project. And I think that's still beautiful and they still have obviously learned things. We're always learning things in partnership. But a 14-year relationship is like a completely different situation to early stages of a relationship. So for me, when I'm trying to find any sort of relationship advice or any sort of things in relationships and energetics and all of that, I'm looking for like married couples, older married couples that have been through shit. And Soul and me have really been through this insane evolution with each other. Like he met me when I was in like the depths of my darkness at my absolute worst, struggling with PTSD, anxiety, and eating disorder, like a complete shell of myself, didn't love myself, to now this woman that has written a book and is traveling the world. And I've become like a completely different person in this relationship. And so has he. And we've had so many individual like deaths and rebirths. And recently, we kind of went through this very rocky, tense moment, I would say, in our relationship that we haven't had in like a freaking really long time. And a lot of it was because of this change that I've had in myself. Like I've now moved into a different chapter in my career where I'm really focused and I've got appointments and there's things going on and I've got bookings and there is things that I need to show up for and there's a lot of things that I could be doing. And because we run businesses together, we're so used to being completely free and not being on anyone's time and not needing to be anywhere. But recently, because of my book and everything that's been going on, I've had to be in certain countries at certain times and do other things at certain times. And I have been so focused on myself, been really focused on myself. And I feel like I have been focused on myself to the detriment of our relationship and haven't been thinking about him enough. And he really verbalized that to me, and I had to swallow my ego and hear it and listen to it without being defensive. And I've now had to really look at myself and adjust a few things that I was doing. And we are in this process of actually adjusting a few things in our relationship. We are going back into dating each other. Lately, work and career and everything else that has been going on in my life has been taking over. And we've come to this point where we've needed to re-meet each other where we're at and just realize and get very clear that our relationship is the foundation of so many beautiful things. Our relationship is the foundation of Mindspo. Like we've been able to build this company and build this platform because of our partnership together and our joint skills. Us coming together, although we don't have kids, it's been the birth of so many things and it has birthed so many things in other people. And if we're not solid and if we're not focusing on each other and the health of our relationship, then everything else around us crumbles. Everything else around us starts to die and wither because we are the foundation of these things. And although we are two separate people and we are two wholes, we choose to be together. And it's our being together that has manifested into so much abundance. You have to really be clear with yourself about what are your values and what's important to you. And I think lately I have forgotten the importance of my relationship and how that my relationship needs watering as well. And I need to water my relationship. And that if I don't water my relationship and if I just let things slide, then that part of my life can start to wither and have issues. There's so much more I could say on this topic and so many nuanced things, and I could get like super personal, but I think it's so important to remember that we're all going through lessons in partnership and that partnership isn't always perfect. It's not always rosy. Like relationships are your biggest mirrors. These are the things that are going to test you. And let me tell you, if you plan to have a long-term relationship or a marriage, you're going to be tested in that relationship many times. And you're going to have to meet many different versions of that person and also many different versions of yourself. And I think in this day and age, people just forget that. And I think people have a fight or a hiccup or something gets triggered in their relationship that triggers them from their childhood, and they don't know how to communicate it. They don't know how to take it. They don't know how to process it. Then they just give up, and then they start that pattern with someone else. And I think that a lot of people lack emotional maturity when it comes to relationships, or maybe even just awareness that the patterns that you have in your current relationship are going to keep happening in your future relationships. It's until you heal that within yourself that you're actually going to be able to be free from whatever that thing is. People are always just showing you where you are not free, and they are mirrors of all of the things that you need to process and learn and heal. It's been an interesting time for that, because I don't think we've ever had from what I can remember, the current stuff that came up in our relationship, we've never had that. There's never been, I feel like the challenges that we've been through recently, they've been new ones, and they were pretty hectic for a little bit there. And yeah, we've moved through them, and that's been really, really good. But yeah, I wanted to mention that because that's been like something that I've been moving through that you wouldn't have seen on Instagram. And I feel like no one shares that they're having like stress or challenges in their relationship, like ever. Like, it's just something that people just keep completely under wraps. And I get that. And it doesn't feel fun to talk about. But yeah, we had a bit of a challenging time recently, but it was a really beautiful, challenging time, because on the other end of it, there has been so much growth and so much awareness and a lot of maturing, I think, which has been really, really good. So that's been happening. Then I want to talk about receiving and resting. I have learned about myself, and I think about a lot of people that I see that are very ambitious, that we have a hard time resting and receiving. And I feel like this is because when you have the identity of someone that is a big dreamer or a manifestor or an entrepreneur, when that becomes part of your identity, you kind of have this go-getter mentality, and you are celebrated for your go-getterness, and people always want to know what you're doing next. It's funny, when I talk to people, a lot of the time people will say to me, so what's happening next? What are you doing? Because I always have a next thing. I'm never settled in one thing. There's always something happening. And my friend Alex, whose place that I'm staying at right now, he actually is one of the few people that doesn't ask me what's next. He just says like, how are you going? He doesn't ask me like, what's happening next? He's like, how are you going? And I just saw him yesterday, and I said, I'm good. I'm just resting. And he just said to me in that moment, he says, that's really good. I'm so happy you're resting. You're always going. Just relax. And I'm like, yeah, I am just relaxed. I'm totally relaxed. And I am so relaxed right now. And I have been in so much like relaxation and rest and just being in that inner experience of calmness that now like rest and relaxation is coming towards me. So let me explain. I am currently house sitting right now. So I'm house sitting my friend Alex's house, and his parents and him have this like beautiful house on the water. And I'm here because they have this incredible cat that I'm obsessed with called Archie. And it is my job to look after him for a week. But we got the call to house sit this house like 2 days before they went away to Canada. And the funny thing is like the house that I'm in is like gorgeous. It's like literally on the beach in Sydney Harbour. It is like my dream house. Really, if I was going to live in Sydney and I was aiming for the moon, this is it. Just insane. And I always associate this house with rest, relaxation, and summer holidays, because every summer holidays we always spend time here because we're always coming and hanging out at Alex's, and it's like the clubhouse because it's just like right next to the water and it's incredible. So everyone always gathers here. And then I got this message to come and house sit, and I just laughed when it came through because it was just the universe matching my frequency that I had been holding of rest and relaxation. And I'm just going slow, and I'm not like starting anything new. I'm just in this inner receivership. I'm slowing down. It just read this vibration, this signature that I was like sending out, and then it matched it with the house that for me is the ultimate match to rest and relaxation. And now I am in a gorgeous house on the water for a week, just living La Vida Loca. It just cracks me up. Like manifestation, your energy just doesn't lie. Like you create and manifest things through your energy. And I think that's such a challenging thing for so many of us to process and to really realize, because yes, there are things that you need to do, and you do need to show up in a certain kind of way sometimes, and you do need to take action. It isn't just about feeling an emotion, but a lot of it is. And I feel that this is why like vibration, somatics, really allowing yourself to get into the feeling of what you want to receive, being in those emotions and those feelings and being in that frequency and reminding yourself to get in that and that inner experience regularly. That is really so important. But we get so focused on the doing and we just showing up all the time. It's not so much about what you do that's going to manifest things. It's the energy that you do things in that really matters, because you don't necessarily just manifest from doing. If you just manifested from doing things from doing, if it was just all about hard work, if it was all just about hours and grind and just putting in effort, then there'd be so many more people that would have what they want. But it's a frequency game. It's an energy game. So much of it is energy and frequency. I just found being here, it's just a hilarious moment for me where I just feel like the universe is just reminding me how much of a frequency game we're playing. And speaking of frequency and frequency games and houses, I need to talk to you about Bali. So, there has been a big change in my life, and it's a big change for me. And before I go into this section of the voice note style podcast where I'm just downloading all my life lessons and things that I've been through over the last 2.5 months, I want to caveat and just say, whenever I talk about Bali and I talk about my personal kind of situation, I find that I start to seize up a little bit and my throat gets a little tight and my shoulders get a little tight, because I never want to come across sounding like a privileged dick. And I think I'm pretty nuanced when I speak about stuff, but I do think that sometimes when it comes to these topics, people can take things out of context and not realize how nuanced they are. So I want to caveat and kind of container this part of the conversation by saying, I think it's so important for people to realize that we are all having our own inner experience with everything in life. And we are all having a different energetic experience with things. And what my experience is and what I'm about to say and how I feel isn't a reflection of your experience. And I think that we need to remember that so much when it comes to podcasts, because we hear someone say something and then we think that it's gospel or that it's truth. And I think that sometimes that can taint our experience of life, because we are allowing ourselves to experience things through other people rather than allowing ourselves to experience it for ourselves. Why I'm saying that is Bali is the most magical, incredible, beautiful place that has been a huge part of my life for the last 8 years. For the last 8 years, I have had a place or a home in Bali. It has been, I would say, like my air quotes here, base. It's somewhere that I've continually returned to. It's somewhere that I've said that I live and I'm based. And a lot of people associate me with Bali. And I recently decided to leave Bali and to not have a place there anymore. And while I still have retreats running there and we have Mindspo having our beautiful experiences there that are hosted by the most incredible facilitators, and we still have a presence there, personally, I'm not spending a lot of time there at the moment. And that's a really big decision for me, because Bali really has been like a safety net place for me, and it's been somewhere that I've constantly returned. But I have had this sort of, no, it's not a sort of, I'm going to just say it how it is. I have had a very loud, intuitively screaming voice from the voice that speaks to me without words, the voice that has always guided me and told me like what to do or where to go and given me guidance in my life. Not the kind of guidance that I can say, hey Siri, what should I do here? But I've had this voice ever since I started meditating that just kind of comes to me very, very loud and clear in very pivotal moments. And this voice is the thing that told me to start Mindspo. It's the thing that told me to go and create a self-love retreat. It's the thing that told me to call my book magnetic. It's just this very clear guidance system that comes to me in certain points in my life. And this guidance system, this voice, has been screaming at me for, I would say, around 2.5 years now, that I need to leave Bali and just stop and go somewhere else, and that the chapter there for me living there is closed. Now, when I say living, going there and calling it my base and having a home there, I don't think the chapter's closed for me, like visiting there and going back there, because that's a different thing. Like having a holiday there is a completely different experience to living there full time. But in terms of living there, I'm just not meant to be there anymore. But I haven't been listening. Well, I have, but I haven't. I have been resisting this download from the voice. And the thing is, I don't normally do this. Usually, when the voice tells me to do something, I just go and do it. It's just like a non negotiable thing that I will just follow and listen. But I have been arguing with this intuition that I've been getting because I have been telling myself for years now that Bali is somewhere that I go and I stay out of a place of abundance. Like, why wouldn't I also have a place in Bali? Why wouldn't I also go back to Bali? If I could still have a place there that my friends and people can stay in and then I can stay in when I want to stay, like, why wouldn't I do that? That seems like a beautiful, abundant thing to do as someone that is traveling the world and is a digital nomad and that is able to be anywhere. Why wouldn't I have this as one of my places? But I actually realized recently that that's actually a lie. I haven't been going back to Bali for the last 2.5, 3 years from a place of abundance. I've been doing it from a place of scarcity because I have this fear that if I let go of being in Bali, or if I let go of this, I guess, identity that I had there, then I was like losing a part of myself, and that it was something that I was so tied to in so many different ways. And it was also as like a safety blanket. It was this thing of, oh, if everything goes to shit, then I'll just go to Bali. Like I'll just run away and go back there. Because I feel like when I first went to Bali 8 years ago, I was definitely running from stuff. Gosh, I could do a whole entire podcast on that. But it was not a place that I went because I was fully healed and had all my shit together. I went there because I was like, oh my God, I'm working myself out. I don't know who I am. It's where I learned how to really love myself and went through all these different spiritual tests and challenges and lessons. And oh gosh, so much happened in Bali for me. And I feel like I have been hanging on to this part of me that is still attached to this island that isn't who I am anymore. It represents a past version of me and a chapter that I don't feel like I'm writing. And if I look at it like a book, I feel in life we're always writing certain things in our life. We're going through certain lessons or we're going through certain relationships, whether it be with people or places, and we're in a process of writing that experience out. But sometimes I think in life what happens is we will write a whole entire experience or we'll write a whole entire relationship out and there'll be nothing else to write there. It's done. But for some reason, we just keep rereading the page. We keep getting stuck on that lesson or stuck on that person or stuck on that thing or in that job. We're not actually learning or growing in that thing anymore, but we just keep rereading it like a program. And that's when we stop. We stop writing and moving through our experience of life, and then we just get stuck on this loop because we've decided that we're comfortable there or that it's safe there or we're scared of the next step. And that's what's been happening with me for Bali for some time. When I got my contract with Penguin, and this was in 2023, when the contract came through to write my book, the voice that I was talking about, it came to me so loud and so clear. And it was like, you will leave Bali to write the book. You will not be here to write the book. And I remember being so annoyed. I was like, shut the fuck up. Like intuition, higher self, voice. No, this is stupid. I'm going to stay in Bali. Bali is the perfect place to write a book. People literally travel across the world to fly to Bali to go and write their books here. Why would I leave this place? So I was fighting my intuition, my voice, my higher self at this point. And I don't normally fight my higher self or my intuition. I usually just listen and just go with it because it is always right. But I have had, as you are going to notice throughout this podcast, I have had a big attachment with Bali and my identity there, and I haven't wanted to let go. So I was fighting back in 2023, tooth and nail to stay, but then I ended up listening eventually, and we ended up going to Sydney, which was like where I was getting the download that I was meant to go, which makes so much sense because the book that I've just written is all about the subconscious mind. And your and my subconscious mind was formed from the ages of 0 to 7. So wherever you were from the ages to 0 to 7, that is going to have a lot of subconscious imprint in your mind. So the people that you're with, your parents, the house, the country, the city, all of those things from the ages of 0 to 7, they have high subconscious significance. And while writing the book, book, it made so much sense for me to be back in the place with the people and around the environment that my subconscious mind was originally coded in, because that was what was bringing up all of my triggers. If I was in Bali writing Magnetic, I don't think I would have written the book that I just wrote, because I wouldn't have been triggered in any way. I would have been so relaxed and so at ease and so comfortable that I wouldn't have been going so deep into my psyche to just bring up all of the things that I needed to look at. So I was actually able to teach the things that needed to be taught. It's all about embodiment at the end of the day when it comes to any of this stuff. You have to be able to hold and to move through whatever it is that you're teaching. My higher self, that inner voice, knew that I wasn't going to be able to teach anyone how to move through the subconscious mind patterns that are keeping them stuck if I was just sitting on an island, riding, overlooking the water, just living la vida loca. It knew that I had to be in Sydney for those first 6 months of writing my book so that I could be triggered, so I could be activated, so I could be in the place where all of my subconscious wounding was lying. Intuition, the voice, it's always right, even if sometimes I want to fight it. And so that was when my relationship with Bali started to shift in 2023. And I spent 11 months away from Bali, writing the book, going on this journey to just discover the world, discover myself, and write the best book that I could, which is now out. Magnetic. If you haven't heard, saying it again, I have a book. It's out. Oh my gosh, you can get it on Amazon. I'm going to put all the links in the description. By the way, everyone that has been reading Magnetic and leaving reviews and feedback and messaging me and DMing me, I have been obsessed with talking to everyone that is reading Magnetic. If you are reading the book, you have to DM me. Please DM me. Let me know what page you're on. Take a photo of the book. Put it on your stories. Tag me in it. I have been having so many beautiful DM conversations with all of my readers, and it has been the most fulfilling, beautiful thing. So please reach out to me if you're reading Magnetic. It honestly is so beautiful to connect with my readers all around the world, and it's been just the best thing in the last 2 months since the book came out. It makes me so excited opening my DMs and seeing your messages and seeing your story mentions. It's the most amazing feeling, and I just feel so fulfilled and so connected to so many of you. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Back to my story with Bali. So basically, I was away from Bali for 11 months. We kept our place there. We had other people staying there. I got back to Bali at the end of 2024 after I had finished writing the book. And I thought to myself, I'm back. I've done what my higher self, my inner voice has told me to. Now I'm back on my island. I can just relax. But no. There is a beautiful quote that says, the universe will never give you comfort in something that you are not meant to be comfortable in. And I think that this is, I've never really experienced that quote personally until now. I have been so uncomfortable in Bali, in a place that I used to feel so comfortable, because I'm not meant to be there anymore. And the universe has been screaming that at me. But I have been ignoring all of the signs. I feel like for the last 4 or 5 months, when I was kind of going in and out of Bali, I kept telling myself, no, it's fine. It doesn't matter about how I feel or all of these signs that I'm getting physically, mentally, spiritually around me that I'm not meant to be here. This is my house. This is my home. This is where I always come back. But now, after 5 months of tests and challenges, and gosh, so many stories that I could tell you on another day on this podcast of crazy things that have happened in the last 5 months of me going back and forth to Bali, I got a clear download when I got back there recently that I had to just let it all go. It's the end of that chapter. I finished writing it. I'd finished writing it like 2 years ago, but I kept going back to reread what I'd written, even though there was nothing else left to learn. But I've heard it loud and clear now. So after 8 years of having a place in Bali and calling it our home and one of our bases, we have let go of our place there. So we let go of most of our stuff. We sold some of it, but honestly, we just gave majority of it to the incredible people that we have met in Bali over the years. We have so many beautiful local friends there that have become part of our community, and we just let go of everything. Let go of the house. Someone else is taking over the lease of the house. Let go of all of our stuff, and we officially just don't have a place or a base in Bali anymore, which probably to someone else is, yeah, cool, that's not a big deal. But for me, this has been my home for 8 years. This has been the place that I've always gone back to. I've been a digital nomad for, I think it's over 9 years now. Like, I don't have a base in Australia. I come to Australia for a few months every single year. The rest of the time, I'm traveling around the world. I have been living the digital nomad completely free lifestyle for years and years and years. And I know I don't really ever talk about it that much on this channel. I probably should. Like, all of my team is remote. All of my businesses are remote. Everything is run completely online. I have no ties, no children, nothing is attached to me. The biggest attachment that I've had is always having a place in Bali, always having stuff in Bali, always going back to Bali. And now that's gone. And it's not like we have some grand plan to move back to Australia or to go start a life somewhere else or get a new place somewhere else or have a new base. There is no plan. Absolutely no plan. It's just we knew that we had to let that go, and we just felt like it wasn't a right fit anymore for the people that we're becoming and what we're doing. And we'll go back there on holidays and visit potentially, but we're just not basing ourselves there anymore. It's not the right thing for us and where we're going in the future. And it was a chapter that is just, it's done. Maybe we'll write another chapter there in the future, but it'll be done in a different time and not where we are right now. And I'm in this void. I have no idea where I'm going to live. I'm in Australia until the beginning of May. And then after that, I go to Cyprus. I have the Empress Retreat that I run once a year. However, that's the last time we're ever running the Empress Retreat. And by the way, if you're listening and you've been manifesting coming on one of my retreats, I need to let you know that my Empress Retreat is the only retreat that I am running this year. And it is the last Empress Retreat that we are ever doing. So if you wanted to come on a Mindspo retreat with not only me hosting, but my partner Chris Soul hosting, and also Megan Rose Lane hosting for the last time, then I'm going to put the details down in the description, because we have a few spots left and we have a really affordable payment plan for anyone that wants to make it last minute for the Empress Retreat in May, for the last one ever before we close that chapter as well. And then after May, we have nothing booked. And I have no idea where we're going. We could be anywhere in the world. We are just going with the flow, trusting our intuition, and we'll figure it out. But yeah, no going back to Bali, no returning and dashing back, which I think is... it's such a lesson, because I have been saying to people for so many years that I always have a place in Bali because it's like the abundant thing. Why wouldn't I always go there? And I've always told myself it's this place that makes me feel abundant and it's a growth place for me. But I think my relationship with it actually lately has been one of scarcity. I go there because I'm scared and I'm comfortable, and it's become this place that I retreat to. But I don't want to retreat anymore. I want to grow and become the version of me that can be and be all of me. I have written so much of who I am on that beautiful island, and it is such an expansive, beautiful place and an incredible portal, but it's not expanding or growing me anymore. And this has been a huge lesson for me in just understanding that in life, there are choices that you can make. And you can live your life on easy mode and play things on easy mode, or you can start to progress and go into a little bit harder or challenging mode and really test yourself and play a different level on the game. And I think that that's what I'm realizing about this life that I'm living is I don't necessarily want to play things on easy mode. I want to experience all that I can experience as Rochelle Fox. I want to have many adventures and write many chapters and have many lived experiences. And I've really decided in this journey that I've been through with closing a chapter on one place that I used to live and stepping into an unknown chapter, that this is something that a lot of people don't do. I think a lot of us stay in chapters that aren't serving us anymore. And even though we're not writing the chapter anymore, we keep reading it. And I think that happens a lot because we're not fully honest with ourselves, and we're worried about what other people will think. And we're so connected and concerned with everyone else's lives that we're not really being honest and clear about what it is that we desire from our own life. And I think we just forget that we have free will, that we have choice, that we can change, that we can become so many different versions of ourselves. And it all starts with making a choice. And I really want to encourage you to remember that you can choose again. The life that you're living right now, the chapter that you're in, it doesn't have to be the be all and end all. You can decide to pivot. You can decide to take a leap. You can decide to change it all and to burn it all to the ground and to start again if you wish. This is something that we're all able to do. And I'm not saying that it is going to be instant, and I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it is something that you can do. And I think that I'm now really reminding myself that a lot of the time we have this programming that things are final. We have so many things that we say in our modern day conditioning and culture that it's, for example, marriage. And although I think marriage is a long-term commitment, but we use this very intense language, which is like to death do us part. Or we'll buy a home and we say it's our forever home. And I think that sometimes we have to remember that who you are right now is not forever. You couldn't stop changing if you tried. So the choices that you made for yourself 8 years ago may not align with the choices that you're making today. In my book, Magnetic, I have this chapter which is all about recrafting your story and going into the depths of the story that you've been telling yourself. And I have this practice which is all about setting a fresh page and having a fresh page perspective. And I would encourage you, if you're listening to this podcast and it has sparked something inside of you and you feel like you want to turn a fresh page and you need to get a fresh page perspective on things and just start from ground zero and really start looking at your choices and asking like, am I aligned? Am I doing the things that I really desire? Is the story that I'm telling myself the real story, or is there something else going on here? I would encourage you to literally go out and order Magnetic. I'll have the links to it down in the description box. Go and read the book, and really when you get to the chapter that is called Your Magnetic Story, work through all of the exercises that I talk about in that chapter, because that chapter right there is literally the chapter that I have been on. I have been rewriting my magnetic story in the last 2 months. Well, I've been rewriting it now for, it feels like 2 years, especially with the Bali thing. But in the last 2 months since I brought out this book, I have been turning a fresh page perspective and looking at my whole entire life and asking myself what is serving me, what is not serving me. I've been taking everything to ground zero. I've been in that questioning and also this process of being extremely honest with myself and brutally real about myself, about how I feel right now and looking at my life right now. Because I think so often we look at our life from like a past perspective. We don't look at our life where we are right now. We apply all of this past programming and all of these old beliefs and all of these old assumptions to our current reality. And then we're then making choices from the past rather than making choices from the present. So look, if you want to action anything that I talked about in this podcast, go order Magnetic, go read it all the way to you get to the Your Magnetic Story section and go and do all of the exercises, do the practice, do the burn ceremony, because that's going to take you on a journey of what I've been on. And I got to tell you, at the end of all of that death, there is so much rebirth, there is so much expansion. At the end of all of the clearing, there is so much creation. I feel like I'm in this big, beautiful, open, expansive space right now. Literally, I actually am. I'm at my big, beautiful friend's house. I'm house sitting. I feel so expansive, so abundant in such a place of possibility. And I'm just excited. I don't know what exactly is next, but I know that it's all coming from such a place of alignment, such of a place of abundance, such a place of being in integrity and excited about the future, because I have literally just shed all of these old layers of myself, not only in my relationship, I've shed all these old behaviors and patterns in my relationship, and that feels like it's in a beautiful space. I've shed all of these energies of overworking and always having to be to the next thing, and I've been in resting, and I've also been shedding identities attached to places and my relationship with spaces in the world, and letting all of that go and allowing myself just to free flow and be open and look at things from a completely fresh page perspective. And that's what I desire for you, because it's a beautiful place to be in. I don't know what's happening, but I just know it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be fresh. It's going to be aligned with my energy right now, which feels really good. If you're listening, you won't be able to see him, but if you're watching on YouTube, this is Archie. This is the boy that I'm babysitting. Hey? It's a good boy. So yes, that is it from me. Big personal chatty podcast. I hope you got something out of that. And Thank you for being on this wild ride with me. The best is truly yet to come. I feel like I'm only just getting started and there's so many exciting things happening. I'm rested. I'm in a receiving mode. I feel abundant. Life is good. I'm just excited to create from this space for you. And I can't wait to create and to show you what's coming because there are some things in the works, but doing it from a very slow, aligned, good space. All right, over and out. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for joining me for this episode. You can discover more from Mindspo on Instagram and TikTok by following @Mindspo and myself @Rochelle_Fox. If this episode inspired you, then please pass it on and share the love. And lastly, always remember, you create your own reality. So go and make some magic.